welcome, welcome. As you know, I'm Senela. I'm the CEO of Women Empowered Global. It's so good to have you. And this is our online global academy at Women Empowered Global. And with that said, I'm so excited to introduce to you the one and only Joanne. Joanne, I get so excited when I have to introduce you. So say hi, Joanne, to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I see Hiruni, Salma, and Lars. Hello.
Okay. So how it's going to go is I'm going to introduce the lovely one and only Joanne. She's a dear friend and she's a fierce speaker, and she's spoken on some of the largest global platforms, and it's my honor and privilege to introduce her to you personally. And thereafter, I will be opening the stage for her to take you through directly on tips of how you can improve and position yourself when it comes to networking. And thereafter, I will come back and then we are going to moderate a Q&A, and you can ask any of your pressing questions from Joanne, and I'll be around as well. So with that said, without further ado, let me introduce Joanne. So Joanne, she is the founder and CEO of Rare Birds, LLC, a Caribbean-based business which invests in and celebrates early-stage women-led social enterprises in developing economies and emerging markets. She's a global citizen rooted firmly in her Caribbean identity. She earned a bachelor's degree from the American University in Washington, D.C., where she majored in environmental studies. She obtained her master's in science in real estate investment from London, and a master's in management in construction, also located in London. I knew she's very street smart. I didn't know she was so academically qualified. Her professional and cultural experiences span countries and continents, having lived, worked, and been educated in North America, the Caribbean, Europe, and Asia. Prior to founding Rare Birds LLC, she worked for a decade in various roles in the corporate property and construction industry. Her passions, however, lie in sustainability and entrepreneurship in developing economies and emerging markets, as well as South-to-South cooperation. Joanne has acted as a mentor, advisor, and champion to various global communities, some of which include the United Nations Women, UN Women, Empower Women community based in New York, and the Women's Economic Forum based in India, and the fabulous Fempreneurship community based in Canada. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege and honor to invite Joanne Hamilton to take the stage. Thank you. Joanne, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you again for inviting me on the platform. So hello to everyone. Hello to, okay, so I see Hiruni, Salma, Lars, and Ruth. I hope everyone can hear me. And if you have any problems, please just send a quick message. So is it possible, Senela, before we begin to get some feedback? I just wanted to find out specifically from our attendees, is there anything in particular that they want to hear, or is there something in their mind that they've come with today that they want to solve, or something specific they'd like me to address, just so that I know? If anyone has anything, maybe they can put it in the chat. I don't know. Oh, we can't hear you. You're muted.
So ladies, we invite you to put it in the chat, but the main frame of today is going to be around networking. And like I said, she's very flexible. So if you have any specifics, you can bring it out during the Q&A, and you also have the opportunity to put it down on the chat. And Joanne and I are here to give you the feedback. Thank you. Okay. All right, Joe, over to you.
Okay, let me get my slide up. 1 second. Yes, I hope everyone can see the slides. Everyone's okay with the slides? Okay, great. So welcome to Networking Skills and Essentials for Entrepreneurs and Professionals, okay? So the first thing I want to jump into is how to interact with different people. So I think when we think of interacting with different people and different cultures, we assume it just means basic communication. But I think we need to go a bit further than that. So I've highlighted a few things here that I'd like everyone to think about. For example, reading books. I think that reading not only explores our imagination, but it opens us up to, as we know, a wide array of thoughts and ideas and things. It's good for cultivating one's imagination and for just fueling thoughts and ideas. So I think that this is something that you have to cultivate. You have to be an avid reader, a voracious reader, be someone that enjoys reading books, be someone that is curious about things. So instead of saying, well, why is this person doing it this way? I would prefer to do it that way. Say, okay, this is an interesting way that someone is approaching something. So maintain curiosity. I've got travel here. Now, I know everyone's situation is different and it's not always easy to travel outside of one's country, but I think even travel within your country, I'm always surprised at how many people don't know their own country or don't travel to certain areas in their own country, who are very limited to just their city or their town or their region. I think it's important. Travel for me is the best education, because I think that when we travel, we experience every subject matter in a matter of a few days, from architecture to science to math to communication, just everything. So I think it's important to travel, to interact with people when you travel, to observe, and again, to maintain that curiosity. Socialize with different types of people. Reason being that as you start to build your business, you want to have a diverse client base. I'm assuming everyone who is here either wants to or is planning on or currently building a global business, because in today's world, nothing is ever really, they say, think locally, act globally. Nothing is ever really on a local level. And depending on where you live, if you live in a vibrant global city, you'll be interacting within the span of a day, you could be interacting with someone from a different ethnic group, a different religion, people from different classes, people from different educational levels. And I think it's really, really important to approach different people with an open mind. It's very, very easy to think of yourself as, okay, using myself as an example, right? You've heard that very illustrious bio that was read. But I have friends from all backgrounds. I have friends that don't have degrees. I have friends that never went to university. I'm Christian. I have Muslim friends. I have friends who are atheists, because I think that having friends from different backgrounds, it forces me to challenge my own views. It forces me to think about the world in a different way. And I think through those challenges, that's how I grow. And that helps me to be better at business, so that when I do meet, for example, a potential client or potential customer, I'm not surprised or shocked at the fact that, they're an atheist, or they come from a different culture, or they come from a different ethnic group, or perhaps they didn't finish school. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's really about opening yourself up to different people and really trying to understand someone's story. And through understanding of their story makes you a better person, and that makes you better at business. I think it's important to study the psychology of people. Try to understand how people think, how minds work. I'm not saying you have to get a degree in psychology, but just study the basics about people. There's quite a few business books that focus on the habits of people and how people think and why people think that they do, the way that they do, rather. And I think that's important, because as you start to build a business, you will meet lots of strong characters, lots of strong personalities, lots of different kinds of personalities. And getting into the minds of those people will help you to understand how to solve their problems. And if you understand communication beyond words, sometimes it's what's not being said, and being able to read between the lines is what helps you to be much more effective at solving problems and doing whatever business service it is that you're doing, or whatever it is that you're trying to build. Or even if you're working in a corporate environment, in the corporate world, again, you may be working for a multinational organization, and you may have to speak to people where I live in China. You may know nothing about the Chinese, but you've got to interact with them. So it's good to understand Chinese culture, how Chinese people think, what's happening in China, why are we interacting with China, why are things thriving here in China. So try to get try to get around cultural barriers. I think that's really important, and try to understand the psychology of people, because one thing that I've learned is whether you are in Cairo or New York or London or Colombo, Sri Lanka, or here in China, at the root of it all, we are human, and there's certain characteristics that just connect us beyond, you know, the fact that I may eat a certain type of food and you may not, or the fact that my religion says I should do this and yours says it shouldn't. There's some basic human traits that we all have in common. And if you can understand those, I think you'll be very successful at dealing and interacting with different people. And I do want to stress, by saying deal, I don't mean that you should tolerate people. I think you should understand, and you should have empathy and compassion for other people's situations and their environments. So by doing all of those things, that then leads us to the networks, right? You want to be able to develop multiple networks. You want to be able to go into any environment and be able to interact freely and move loosely and not have any types of insecurities, you know, whether that's if you're in a group where you're the only woman, if it's amongst men, or if you're in a group where you're the only one from a particular background or a particular culture or from a particular religion. It could be anything. You should be able to go into a room and be able to navigate that space, because you have this understanding of people and of ideas and different cultures and different mindsets. So you're not intimidated. If you get into a room where everyone's extremely highly educated and maybe you don't have a degree, you shouldn't feel like you're less than, because you understand that ultimately you have something to offer. So develop multiple networks. If you're a female, don't feel like you have to limit yourself only to female networks. Half of the world's population are men. So it's important to join various networks where you meet people of different genders, all genders and races and cultures and ethnicities and backgrounds, and be able to tap into those networks. And be a good listener. One thing I've learned with time is that your value as an individual goes up as your listening skills get better, because people like to be around others who listen to them. Because when you demonstrate that you can listen really well, people warm up to you. They like, sometimes that's just what people want. They don't want you to solve their problems, they want you to listen. And by being a good listener, you can then tap into what their problems are, which again is what you're trying to do, whether you're in business or in the corporate world, or whatever it is that you're trying to work on. I think vulnerability is key in business. I think that sometimes, perhaps old-fashioned thinking in business is that we should be very powerful and we should always be strong and we should continuously be direct and to the point. And I think that definitely, those traits definitely have their place. But I think that if you want to develop trust with people and really build long-term sustainable clients and a sustainable business by showing that you have your own weaknesses, that I don't think that will make people trust you less. I think people will realize, okay, she knows her strengths or he knows his weaknesses, and he's able to surround himself with a team of people who can then tap into what he's not good at. And that's why he or she's able to deliver such a good service or a quality service. And by vulnerability, I don't mean that you should start telling professionals or clients, you know, what's happening in your personal life. That's not what I mean at all. But share perhaps challenges that you've had or experiences that you've had and how you were able to overcome those, and just share on basic things, share knowledge on experiences that you may have had in your first year of business or your second year of business, and just demonstrate that you have the ability to show that you are human as well. And people like that. People like being around other people who are normal and who are human, even if you're really, really good at your job, because then they kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, so she makes her mistakes just like everyone else. That doesn't mean that you're less effective at your job. It just makes you human. And lastly, be honest and be sincere. I think it's always better to be honest. Obviously with tact, you can be direct without being ill-mannered or rude, but definitely be honest and be sincere and be clear with your intentions. I think as long as you state your intentions and state what it is that you're trying to achieve, people will definitely respect that. And I think ultimately in business, it's great to be liked, but it's even better to be respected. Yes, so I know we're leaving the questions until later, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop into the next slide. So understanding how to approach potential clients and customers. Okay, so you have the foundation, okay, you've tapped into all the networks, you're continuously improving yourself and trying to get familiar with different kinds of people. So now you're approaching people, or people are approaching you, and you want to go out there and win work, or maybe you are at work and you're looking for that promotion, and you know that people are looking at you, and you need to be able to work with different departments or so on. Again, curiosity. Ask people questions. Try to get to know people. When you're in a room at a networking event, rather than making it about yourself, make it about the other person. Some people don't like small chat, and I think that's where emotional intelligence comes into play. There's some people who don't like small chat. They don't want to talk about the weather. They don't want to hear about football or whatever is going on, or politics. They really just like to keep it to the point. But I think you have to test those waters. So be curious, ask questions. So say, it could be something very random, like, so what brought you here today? Or what did you think of the last session? Or, you know, just be curious. And from there, depending on how that person answers that question, that will be able to guide you in terms of how far you can go in being curious. Whether that person is interested in going beyond just that space and that medium of conversation, or whether they just want to keep it to the point. But you have to be able to gauge that. I think it's important to find out what makes people thrive, what makes people get excited, what makes people tick. We usually hear the jargon, what makes people tick. Why you should find that out is because what makes people tick it's essentially their passion, it's their purpose. And if you can tap into that, then you will people over, essentially. People will always remember that you were interested in getting to know what they were about, as opposed to what you can do for them. Okay. Ask how you can support their venture. I think oftentimes you go to networking events or conferences or whatever it is, whatever function you're at, and you will always meet those people who have business cards, and it seems like they're just going around the room giving out their business cards to random people. I think that is an approach, and it is a strategy, and for some people that works. But I think long term, again, if you're trying to build something sustainable, you don't want to do that. You want to be in a position where you're serving, where you're asking, so what is it exactly that you're looking for? And maybe we can find a way to work together, and how can I help you with that? Find out what is it exactly that people are looking for? What do they need help with? And see how your organization or your business can help them. How can it support them? Because that's what people want. They want help. That's why they come to these events. They want help. They want people to solve their problems. They want to be connected with other people who can solve their problems. And again, this is where, as I mentioned in the previous slide, where being a good listener comes into play. Because as someone starts to tell you about whatever problem they're having, or how they're dealing with this particular challenge, you have to be able to listen in and really pick up on those cues, and then be able to say, well, this is what I'm working on at the moment, and this is what I can do, or this is how I can help, etc. Develop real relationships. I think, once again, people go to networking events and they're just giving out their business cards, but they're not actually interacting. They're not really speaking. They're not really trying to get to know people. I think it's better to go to an event and connect genuinely with one person, than to give out your business cards to 15 people in the room, because no one's going to follow up with you, and no one's going to contact you because you didn't actually speak to them. So try to get to know at least one person in the room, walk away having had a genuine conversation, and then don't leave it there. You need to develop on that. You need to follow up with an email. You need to say, hey, I would love to take you out for coffee or tea on some time. Do you have any time in your diary? Or I would love to follow up with a chat, or et cetera, and just continue that relationship. Take that relationship outside of that space where you initially met them and show people that you are actually interested. And in those first initial meetings, you don't have to talk about business. You can talk about your hobbies, you can talk about your kids, you can talk about anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be about business, because you're trying to get to know someone genuinely. And after you've developed that trust, then the business will come and everything else will fall into place. And build a club, build a team. And by that, I mean, think of your potential clients, customers, supporters as your club. They're your team. You're not going to address them as such. They may not know that, but you need to think of them in that way. So think to yourself, I've got a club, I've got a team with 10 or 15 people who I'm trying to bring over to my side. I'm trying to make them my clients or my customers or whatnot. How are all of these people connected? What do they have in common? Should I be connecting them to each other? Should I try to get them all into the same room? So think of it as trying to develop and manage your core team, and these are your core customers, and these people will eventually be the ones that will stay with you throughout much of their progression in their business or whatnot. If you're in a corporate environment, that can mean building relationships with other departments. That could mean building relationships with stakeholders. Again, see them as your team members. You really have to change your thinking and shift your thinking around this area. Yes, you know they're your clients, and yes, you know you're going to deliver a service and they're going to pay, but you can't see people as just sort of units. They're coming for a service, I give them a service, they pay. You can't, you have to sort of get out of that mindset and see people as genuinely a part of something bigger that you're trying to achieve. And then lastly, stay interested. Stay interested in people. Stay interested in meeting other people. Say to them, hey, you know, I recently met someone at an event and I thought about you. I think you guys should get together. Would you like me to get you guys together? Or, hey, I was thinking we can all get together and have coffee. It'd be nice for all of us to chat. Stay interested in people. Continue to ask questions. Even once you've won them over and you've gotten a piece of work or you've gotten that promotion or whatever it is, it doesn't stop there. You have to continuously build upon those relationships. It's no different to your relationship with your spouse, your husband, your partner, your children, your mom-in-law. I mean, it's a different kind of relationship, but it's still a relationship, and it needs nurturing. It requires nurturing. You've got to water it. It's like a plant. So, and it'll continue to grow, and as it grows and it evolves, you will grow and evolve with it as well. So I think these are some tips on how to approach potential clients and customers. Now, events, how to leverage events. This is an event, obviously this is an online event. This is a great way to meet different people and to get to know people who are doing something similar to yourself. So in terms of, I broke this down into two areas, attending events and creating events. Both are equally important. Attending events is important for meeting like minds, gleaning new information, and sharing knowledge. So why do you want to meet like minds? That's stating the obvious. It's great to be able to be in a room filled with people who have a shared vision. And through that shared vision, you have common goals and you can work with each other. You can collaborate. You can work across your goals, and you can meet other people. One thing you will realize is that when you meet one good person, that one good person will know 10 or 15 other good people who will know 10 or 15 other good people. And before you know it, you're just surrounded by a lot of really high value, quality people who you can build networks with. I think when you're first starting out, you're probably not really sure of what you're doing. So you're kind of meeting just everyone. And sometimes you'll hear people say they have really bad clients. I really believe that you have bad clients because you're not clear about your purpose and you're not clear about your vision. Once you get clear on your purpose and your vision, then you will definitely start to meet the right people. And all of the people that you don't want around will sort of fall away by the side. Gleaning new information, obviously, like today, learning some new things, or perhaps you already know these things and you just need to refresh your memory a bit. and for sharing knowledge, for sharing best practice. It's important to share what works, share with other people. Sometimes in business, people think that they have to be, they have to keep secrets. You don't want to share with your competition. Well, here's the thing. Your competition is the reason why you're in business, okay? You don't want to not share what you're doing, because by sharing, that's how everyone gets better. So, for example, let's pick something very simple, like hamburgers, okay? Burger King, McDonald's, whatever. They're all profitable and they're all doing something very simple. They're selling burgers, right? And sometimes you'll drive on a high street and you'll see 5 or 6 different burger joints and they're all profitable. They're all packed. Trust me, they share. They know what's going on. They're all in the same network. They're all going to the same events. Their managers all know each other. Sometimes they're friends. Sometimes they went to the same school. I mean, I think from the outside, you may think, oh, well, they're competitors. They don't get along. But honestly, they all work together. They all know each other. And it's a healthy, fun kind of competition. So you should always share knowledge with people in your networks. And once you share, other people will share with you as well. So attend events for these different reasons, and create events. It's very important to create events. You want to create events. Why? Because that's how you meet the like minds that you can then collaborate with. Once people see that you're putting in the hard work and you're putting events together and you're trying to bring people together, that raises your value, your worth, and then they will want to work with you. And collaboration, I say, is the new innovation. So if you're collaborating, you're naturally innovating. It helps to build brand awareness. If you want people to know about your brand, this can be a personal brand. If you're in the corporate space, you need to protect your personal brand. If you're building a business, this is whatever business it is that you are building. You want people to know what your brand stands for and what you do. And one of the best ways to do that is to create events where you're able to highlight your brand and the work that you're doing as a result. And interact with your supporters. Again, I've changed the name from clients and customers to support. It's really important. The psychology around this is very important. These are your supporters. These are the people that support you. These are the people that give you work. These are the people that help you to get your promotion, whether it's your mentors and your coaches and your advisors. So interact directly with these people at events. Go over and talk to them. Don't just create an event and just bring a bunch of people in the room and don't talk. It's an opportunity to talk specifically to people, to share what you're doing, to share projects, to share what you're working on. And finally, build a community of supporters. So for example, today, it looks like we've got about 11 or 12 people here attending this online event. You guys are a community. Every month you get together, you come onto the Women Empowered platform, in the African platform, and you're able to hear from thought leaders and from people who are well respected in their fields, people who are building businesses, people who are in the corporate world. It's all community. It's all a community of, again, the like minds. So you need to do that for your customers. You need to do that for your collaborators. Think about building community across all of your stakeholders. May seem like a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. Okay, how to leverage social media. Firstly, you need to know your market. Who are you speaking to? Who are you trying to attract? Who, if you're in the corporate world, who exactly do you want to, if it's Twitter, who do you want to follow you? Are you following the right people? By knowing your market, then you can speak to them directly through what we call a voice. What is your voice? What exactly is it that you are trying to say? And how do you convey your message to your market? If your market, if your niche are, say, young people within the age group of 18 to 26, for example, that is your market, then you need to find out exactly how to speak to that market. You definitely need to develop a strategy, a social media strategy, to convey whatever this message is. But first you have to know who they are, figure out how you want to speak to them, and then get clear about your message. And constantly create value. You always want to be creating value. You always want to be adding value. If you stop adding value, then you're out of business. You need to constantly be creating value. You need to be constantly innovating and finding ways to solve people's problems, finding ways to bring people to your platform, whether it's through online events such like this, or Twitter chats, or Instagram Live, or Facebook Live, or whatever it is. You need to find that platform that works best for your audience and continuously create value for them. Give them a reason to come back to your platform all the time. Focus on quality over quantity. I know in today's world of the deluge of social media, it's very easy to get caught up in statistics and numbers and, oh, I've got 30,000 followers and so on and so forth. But you really want to hone in on quality, because the quality customers, your quality supporters, are the people who are going to be with you for the long run. Quantity is fleeting. It doesn't last forever. 30,000 followers today can be 20,000 next week. Because people are fickle, especially when they don't know what they want. So you really want to tap into that quality network and build up a quality following. Okay, engage with your audience, continuously talk to your audience. Again, and I think I went through this when I said, for example, have Twitter chats and have Facebook Lives, and curate your communication so that you're always speaking to your market. Like, again, if your market is 18 to 26-year-olds, you need to ask questions to that group. You should not be asking questions which are relevant to people who are over 40, for example. Collaborate with influencers. So go online and find all of the influencers who are doing similar work to you and approach them and try to see how you can work with them in a way that benefits their platform as well as yours. Follow high value accounts. So by high value accounts, I mean those individuals who are well known in their field, who are highly regarded, and follow them, comment on them, because people will see those comments and your comments will then attract them to your platform. And your followers will see that you follow very high value accounts as well. And lastly, don't sell a product, sell the solution. Do not sell a product, sell your solution. Don't sell, oh, this is what I'm doing and this is how I can do it. Sell, this is the problem and this is how I'm solving it for you. And that will continuously attract people to your social media, which will eventually attract them to your website or any other platform and become a potential lead for you to gain some new clients. So that is it. And I don't know, I think Senela went someplace. Are you back, Senela?
I've been here all along. This is
great,
what
great. I hope, I felt like I was talking so much. I want to turn it over to the ladies. I hope everyone appreciated the presentation, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer. And if there's any feedback, I would love to hear feedback.